I watched my uncle bleed out on the kitchen floor and didn't call for help. The knife had slipped during dinner prep, slicing deep across his palm. Blood pooled on the white tile while he pressed a towel against the wound, his face going pale. My phone was in my pocket. I could feel it vibrating with notifications, but I just stood there in the doorway, watching, and I didn't move an inch. My cousin Darnell stood beside me. Neither of us reached for our phones. Neither of us said a word. We just watched him bleed and waited. Growing up, Uncle Ray was everyone's favorite. He hosted every holiday, coached Little League, and always had cash for ice cream runs. The whole neighborhood loved him. Parents trusted him with their kids. He had this warm smile that made you feel safe. When I was 9, I thought he was the greatest man alive. He'd ruffle my hair and tell me I was like a son to him. My mom would beam whenever he said it. She'd lost my dad young, and Ray stepped up to fill that role. At least, that's what everyone believed. That's what I believed too, until I found what was hidden in his basement. I was 14 when I went down there looking for a basketball pump. The basement was off limits, always locked, but the door was cracked open that day. I found a cabinet behind the water heater. Inside were photographs, dozens of them. Children from the neighborhood, from the Little League team, taken without their knowledge. Some were worse than others. My stomach turned so violently I threw up right there on the concrete floor. I ran upstairs and told my mom everything. She went white. Then she made a phone call. The police came, searched the basement, but found nothing. Ray had cleaned it out. He told the officers I was troubled, that I made things up for attention. My mom tried to back me up, but without evidence, they couldn't do anything. Ray hired a lawyer who sent my mom a letter threatening to sue for defamation if we ever spoke about it again. For 6 years, I watched him continue coaching. I watched new families move into the neighborhood, trusting him with their sons. I reported him twice more. Both times, nothing happened. His lawyer made everything disappear. Last Christmas, my cousin Darnell pulled me aside. His hands were shaking when he showed me his phone. It was a cloud backup he'd recovered from Ray's old tablet, one Ray had given him years ago without wiping properly. The folder contained over 200 files, timestamps going back 15 years, faces I recognized, kids who were now adults, scattered across the country, probably still carrying what he did to them. Darnell had been one of them. He told me what Ray had done to him when he was 11, things I can't repeat, things that made me want to burn that house to the ground. We took the files to a detective named Patricia Wallace. She believed us. She told us to be patient while she built a case that couldn't be dismissed. But Ray found out. Someone at the precinct tipped him off. 3 days ago, he called a family meeting, stood in his kitchen surrounded by cousins, aunts, uncles, and announced he was moving to Costa Rica. Permanent relocation. He'd already sold the house. He was leaving in 72 hours, before any warrant could be issued, before anyone could stop him. I watched my mom's face crumble. Darnell's hands balled into fists so tight his knuckles went white. Ray smiled at us like he'd already won. He knew exactly what he was doing. He'd done this his whole life. Escape, deflect, disappear. The system had failed us every single time. The night before his flight, he invited close family for a farewell dinner. That's when it happened. He was slicing vegetables when the knife slipped. It cut deep, right across the artery in his palm. Blood sprayed across the counter. He grabbed a towel and pressed it down, but the red just kept spreading. He looked at me and said, "Call 911. His voice was calm at first, then it got desperate. "Call them now." I pulled out my phone and looked at the screen. I had Detective Wallace's number right there. One tap and I could have dialed emergency services. But I thought about the 200 files. I thought about Darnell crying in my car. I thought about 15 years of children whose lives he'd destroyed. I put my phone back in my pocket. Darnell did the same. Ray's face went from pale to gray. He stumbled toward the landline on the wall, but his legs gave out. He hit the floor hard, the towel falling away, blood pooling around him in a widening circle. My mom walked in from the living room. She saw him on the floor. She saw us standing there doing nothing. For a moment, I thought she'd scream at us. Instead, she looked at Ray, then at me, and her eyes filled with something I'd never seen before. Relief. She walked to the wall phone, unplugged it, and sat down at the kitchen table. Ray was crying now, begging, saying he was sorry, that he'd turn himself in if we just helped him. But we'd heard his promises before. We'd watched him escape every consequence for 2 decades. The 3 of us sat there and watched the man who had terrorized our family bleed out on his own kitchen floor. His eyes went glassy. His chest stopped moving. When it was over, my mom finally spoke. "Now call them," she said. "Tell them we found him like this." Ray died before paramedics arrived. The official cause was accidental blood loss. Detective Wallace arrested no one. The case files were transferred to federal investigators. So far, 31 victims have come forward.